Hi, today I'm going to go over the Excursionist Perk, a unique feature that United Airlines offers that allows you to put a free flight in between two segments of a round-trip flight. Let's take a look at the specifics. First of all, United divides the world up into 17 regions. We have Australia and New Zealand, Oceania, South, Central, and Northern Asia. Japan is its own region, Europe, including Russia, the Middle East, Northern Africa, Central and Southern Africa, Northern and Southern South America, the Caribbean, Central America, Mexico, the US and Canada, and then Hawaii is its own region. So what exactly is the Excursionist Perk? Well, simply put, the Excursionist Perk allows you to add a free one-way flight, that free flight outside of the US, in the middle of any round-trip award flight that you book. There are rules associated with the Excursionist Perk that you have to consider. First of all, you must book two one-way trips as a multi-city trip or a round trip on a single booking. So you can't book two separate one-way flights on separate bookings and then put the free flight using the Excursionist Perk in the middle at the end. It has to be a round-trip booking. This perk is only good on award tickets. You can't use it for cash, so you have to be using points through the Mileage Plus program. You must start and end your itinerary in the same region and then use the perk, the free flight in the middle, within a separate region from where you began. Also, the free flight must be in the same or a lower fare class than the rest of the ticket. So if you book your round-trip ticket in economy class, you can't book the Excursionist Perk flight in the middle in business class. It would have to be in economy also. This is a great way to see multiple destinations throughout the world while stretching your miles and points. Again, if you're looking at the map of United's regions, if you start and end in the US and Canada, then you can put your middle flight, whether it be in Europe or maybe South America or Southern Africa or Australia, that middle flight, as long as it's in a different region and within the time frame of your two round-trip tickets, that flight would be free. Let's take a look at some examples. The first one we're going to look at is a tour of Europe. So in this example, you start and end in Chicago in the United States and Canada region, fly from Chicago to Frankfurt, and then within Frankfurt, within Europe, you have a free London to Istanbul flight. That would be your Excursionist Perk flight. And then you fly back home from Rome to Chicago. So you see you start and end in the US and Canada region, and then your free flight is in the European region. In this example, you would be responsible for figuring out transportation between Frankfurt and London, and then between Istanbul and Rome on separate tickets. But these are the flights that you would book through the Excursionist Perk. Let's take a look on United's website to see exactly how you would go about booking an Excursionist Perk ticket. Okay, so when you go to united.com, in order to do a booking for the Excursionist Perk, you would start by clicking on the Advanced Search tab here on United's homepage. We're just going to look at flight only here, and we have to use miles for the Excursionist Perk. We're going to click on multi-city. Then we're going to enter our airports and our dates for the flights that we're looking at. As you can remember from our example, we had Chicago to Frankfurt, and then our middle Excursionist Perk flight is going to be London to Istanbul. Remember that the Excursionist Perk flight has to be in the middle time-wise from your round-trip flights. So we're going to do that for October 10th. And then our third leg, if you remember, was Rome to Chicago. We're going to do that on October 18th. So we see that the round trips are from the US October 4th and October 18th, and then our middle flight is October 10th. We're going to choose economy flights here, and then we're going to go to find flights. So our first flight, we're going to choose the Chicago to Frankfurt flight, economy flight for 30,000 miles. So you click on that. And as you can see, here's our Excursionist Perk flight from London to Istanbul. Because it's free, you have 0 miles, and then $82.60 are the taxes and fees. But it requires 0 miles for this flight, so let's choose that. And then our return flight from Rome to Chicago will do this nonstop economy flight for 30,000 miles. Once you choose those flights, this is what you'll come up with. The results of this itinerary that I just booked were Chicago to Frankfurt, London to Istanbul, and Rome to Chicago for 60,000 miles total for all 3 legs, plus $148 in taxes and fees. So in this instance, you've got the Excursionist Perk for free in the middle. Let's take a look at another example. Southeast Asia hop. So assume you're in Asia and you want to try using the Excursionist Perk. This itinerary starts in Tokyo, which you remember is its own region in and of itself, and flies to the Southern Asia region. So you would fly Tokyo to Bangkok, Bangkok to Manila, Philippines. That would be the free Excursionist Perk flight, and then back from Manila to Tokyo on the return. Let's take a look at how that would work booking it on United. We'll edit our multi-city trip and change our parameters. So this one's going to go from Tokyo to Bangkok, Bangkok to Manila, and then Manila back to Tokyo. We're going to keep our dates the same as this previous trip that we looked at. So our first flight, Tokyo to Bangkok, we're going to choose this nonstop option. And here's our Bangkok to Manila flight for 0 miles plus $21. And then our Manila back to Tokyo flight for 20,000 miles coming back. So let's take a look at the final example there. So the results are, again, here's our itinerary: Tokyo to Bangkok, Bangkok to Manila, and Manila to Tokyo for 42,000 miles plus $61. And now had we taken a look at our Excursionist Perk flight, Bangkok to Manila, it would be 19,000 miles on its own. So that's what we're saving by getting the free flight with the Excursionist Perk. Let's take a look at one more example that's kind of off the wall. This is a 3-trip loophole type itinerary. So in this itinerary, you're flying Cleveland to San Francisco, Sydney to Queenstown, and then Denver to Cleveland. This is unique because this is taking 3 separate trips that you would be taking on very different itineraries, and putting the Sydney to Queensland trip in the middle using the Excursionist Perk. As you can see, it satisfies our requirements. It starts and ends in the US and Canada region, and our Excursionist Perk is in the middle. It's in a different region. In this case, the Australia and New Zealand region. If we were to do it on United, this is what it would look like. So we have a nonstop here, Cleveland to San Francisco for 15,000 miles. The Sydney to Queensland route would be 17,500 miles on its own, but in this case, it would be free using the Excursionist Perk. And then the return, Denver to Cleveland, 15,000 miles. So as you can see, what I've done here with the dates, this would be a March 8th trip. So say you're going to Cleveland, from Cleveland to San Francisco, and then you would figure out your own transportation home. That would be one trip. And then say in the summer, in August, you decide to go to Australia and tack on this Sydney to Queensland trip on your Australia trip. And then coming back maybe in December, you're taking a trip out to Denver, and so this is the return flight, Denver to Cleveland. You'd be responsible for figuring out how to get to Denver originally, but as you can see, because of the dates, they're 3 separate trips, completely separate from one another, but because they fall chronologically and because they satisfy the rules of the Excursionist Perk, the middle flight, because it's in a different region, is free. So this would save you 17,000 miles on this trip. As you can see, there are a lot of unique ways that you can use the perk within different regions, as long as you understand the map and the time frame that you're looking at. today. In conclusion, remember, the possibilities are endless to use United Excursionist Perk in your world travels. As long as you're starting and ending in the same region, the free flight in the middle, as long as it's in a different region, can be anywhere. You can start and end in Europe and have a free flight in Asia. You could start and end in South America and have a free flight in South Africa. Really, the world is your oyster in this respect in using the Excursionist Perk. So play with it, understand the map, and see what options you might have to utilize this when using a points booking through United. If you enjoyed this content, please subscribe to my channel and like this page on YouTube. Also, remember to go to my website, whatsthepoints.com, where I've got lots of travel and point information, my blogs, and my resources. If you have any questions, be sure to contact me. Thank you very much.